Good day. For this video, I'll be presenting how to use t-test independent sample. Now, please take note that t-test independent sample is the most familiar and the most common t-test formula that researchers are doing. No? So, I'm expecting in this class that majority of you, from the advice of your research advisor, that you'll be using t-test in order to compute for the findings of your study. Now, paano nga ba itong t-test independent sample? Now, the usage of your t-test independent sample attempts to compare the mean between two unrelated groups on the same dependent variable. Okay, so t-test independent sample is widely used in causal comparative research designs. So, paano nga ba siya, no? So, for instance, may just look into how variables and groupings are used sa independent sample, no? So for instance, you want to test gender, it has something to do with a certain dependent variable. So let us, for instance, just use political knowledge, yung kaalaman. So you have that hypothesis that males are, although just an example, males have lower political awareness compared with females, no? So dyan papasok yung t-test independent sample. Now, paano? Okay, going back to t-test, two groupings. So we have one variable, however, we now categorize or group them into two. Male, then females. Dito na papasok yung causal comparative. Does gender affect political awareness? And we now compare males versus females. Or for instance, our independent variable would be in terms of ownership. Then pag ownership, we could classify it into two, emphasizing two, private and public. Pag two groupings, automatically t-test yan. Ano ibig sabihin ng unrelated? Unlike with dependent t-test or t-test dependent sample, related kasi siya because it has something to do with time connections. So before and after. Now, if these are two unrelated, obviously, unrelated talaga siya, t-test yung gagamitin natin. Or for instance, political parties, yung independent variable natin, and it has been grouped into two, Republican versus Democrat, t-test independent sample yung gagamitin natin. Now, for instance, paano pag sa Pilipinas, we have a multi-party list system, hindi na applicable yung t-test. Gagamitin ngayon natin ay ANOVA in order to compare those political parties. Same as with gender. We now recognize our society today is pluralistic. Hindi lang male and females. We have the LGBT community. Hindi na applicable yung t-test. We now use ANOVA. Okay. Now, paano nga ba itong t-test, no? So, we attempt to compare. May I provide you an example? We look into how t-test is being computed manually. So, exercise. So, this is actually a data coming from Mr. Norman. Norman is my classmate way back, no? So, this is his thesis for his eduk management, no? So, he attempts to compare the overall performance of 4th class cadets, yung mga plebo, parang freshmen sa college, no? And he grouped them in terms of, one thing would now be in terms of gender, no? So, comparing. So, from the title or from the description, we wanted to compare males and females, no? So, automatically t-test, no? So, he used a tool, an instrument. So, this is from the PMA, the camp training doctrine. So, it's how they train their cadets, no? So, in terms of character building, academics, military, then physical, no? So, character, this is all about leadership, academics. So, what program are you in? Naval engineering, army management, IT, political science, medicine, etc. May mga courses din sa PMA, no? They should undergo military training. Obviously, it's a military institution. Then, physical training din as well, no? So, they have that program, no? Then, how he measured this one, he converted it into a Likert scale, no? Kasi, for instance, ang academics sa PMA is numerical, eh. Although they could convert it into the alphabetical, then they compute it into alphabetical, tapos kinompute niya into a Likert. Pwede yun. Although madami siyang, same as with military, physical, iba. However, he converted it into a Likert scale. Kaya, yung dependent variable natin would now be performance. Dependent variable, no? Then, he categorized it into males and females. Now, ano tong 22 and 17? There are 22 respondents, male respondents, and there are 17 females. Itong 17 and 22, ito yung magiging N1 at N2 natin, no? So, N stands again for sample. Okay, ano yung kailangan natin? We get the overall mean of the two groups. So, 3.52, simply add divided by 4. Ganun din yung ginawa niya sa females, no? We get the variance and we get the standard deviation, no? So, from your calculators, you could now compute, or from your Excel. Okay, let's go now to your hypothesis testing and test whether may significant difference nga ba ang males at females. Graph first your hypothesis testing. So, technically, null hypothesis, no significant difference between the overall performance of 4th class cadets in terms of gender. HA, ginawa lang natin affirmative, no? Okay, tinatamad tayo. Okay. Number 2, alpha is 0.05. Get your degree of freedom. So, iba yung computation ng degree of freedom natin dito. So, simply get N sub 1 stands for the first group, males. N sub 2 stands for the second group, which is now females. So, minus 2, ang degree of freedom natin is 37. Next step, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. The fourth step is get the computed value. So, nandito yung ating formula. We just kunin natin yung values. So, sinortcut ko na agad, but basically, remember, you have to remember, class, that dapat step by step. Remember the MDAS principle, the parenthesis principle, the exponent principle, no? And pag na-compute nyo na yan, yung nakuha nating T computed value is 0.82. Okay, the next step is we now identify or determine yung hypothesis, no? Okay, 0.82. Then we'll now get for your T-tabulated value. I'll insert a video.
So, nahanap ngayon natin yung T-computed value, hanapin ngayon natin yung T-tabulated value or your TTV, no? So, itong table na to is already given. So, as well with the values. So, ang hanapin muna natin is the degree of freedom. So, previously, na-compute natin yung degree of freedom, which is now 37. So, hanapin ngayon natin yung 37. So, kung malalaki yung degree of freedom natin, kailangan maka-search tayo ng T-table na mahaba din, no? Okay, so 37. Then, ang level of confidence natin is 0.05. So, ito siya, no? So, align na lang natin. So, our TTV is 2.0262. So, yan yung ating TCV.
Okay. Now, from the T-tabulated value, nakuha natin yung 2.026. Okay? Then, compare those two numbers. Mas malaki yung tabulated value natin. Now, principle, pag mas malaki yung tabulated value natin, we now accept your null hypothesis, HO, then reject your alternative hypothesis. Then, having that conclusion, we now get your HO. There is no significant difference between the overall performance of 4th class PMA cadets in terms of gender. So, in your distribution curve, ganito lumalabas. So, yung 2.02 natin is the boundary of the critical value. Then, from your population mean, nandyan yung 0.82. So, natanda natin, nandito yung acceptance of your null hypothesis. So, technically, when we try to analyze this one, wala nang determinant yung gender sa overall performance. Although, looking into the institution, which is a dominantly male institution, we could now see that female cadets are actually sumasabay na sila sa mga male cadets. And what theories could now support these findings, no? Ang daming theory. Pwede dito would now be your simply feminism, di ba? More likely critical feminism. Bakit, no? Kasi for instance, we could now dictate that we could now get rid the bias of PMA as a machismo institution. Although masyadong masculine, kailangan strong, aggressive, we could now see females are not being dominated. Pero females, kaya na nilang sumabay sa mga lalaki, no? Site critical feminism theory, socialist feminism theory, I believe so, or even rational choice theory, no? Paano pumasok dito yung rational choice theory? Um, the insights of females, no? Kaya it's a combination of quantitative and qualitative. It's best for the researcher after getting the certain information, interview female cadets, what would be their experience, quote unquote phenomenology, being inside of a machismo or masculine institution, no, lalo na sa military. So that's it.